Proverbs chapter 21. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He directs it like a watercourse wherever he pleases. All a man's ways seem right to him, but the Lord weighs the heart. To do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Haughty eyes and a proud heart, the lamp of the wicked, are sin. The plans of the diligent lead to profit, as surely as haste leads to poverty. A fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare. The violence of the wicked will drag them away, for they refuse to do what is right. The day of the guilty is devious, but the conduct of the innocent is upright. It's the way of the guilty is devious, but the conduct of the innocent is upright. Better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. The wicked man craves evil. His neighbor gets no mercy from him. When a mocker is punished, the simple gain wisdom. When a wise man is instructed, he gets knowledge. The righteous one takes note of the house of the wicked and brings the wicked to ruin. If a man shuts his ears to the cry of the poor, he too will cry out and not be answered. A gift given in secret soothes anger, and a bribe concealed in the cloak pacifies great wrath. When justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but terror to evildoers. A man who strays from the path of understanding comes to rest in the company of the dead. He who loves pleasure will become poor. Whoever loves wine and oil will never be rich. The wicked become a ransom for the righteous, and the unfaithful for the upright. Better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome and ill-tempered wife. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all he has. He who pursues righteousness and love finds life, prosperity, and honor. A wise man attacks the city of the mighty and pulls down the stronghold in which they trust. He who guards his mouth and his tongue keeps himself from calamity. The proud and arrogant man, mocker is his name. He behaves with overweening pride. The sluggard's craving will be the death of him, because his hands refuse to work. All day long he craves for more, but the righteous give without sparing. The sacrifice of the wicked is detestable, how much more so when brought with evil intent. A false witness will perish, and whoever listens to him will be destroyed forever. A wicked man puts up a bold front, but an upright man gives thought to his ways. There is no wisdom, no insight, no plan that can succeed against the Lord. The horse is made ready for the day of battle, but victory rests with the Lord. Today is January 21st, 2023. Thanks for joining me. So my commentary this morning, the single verse of Proverbs that really jumped out at me today was verse 12. The righteous one takes note of the house of the wicked and brings the wicked to ruin. There's a note here that I have in my scripture. It's about this term, the righteous one. It could also be interpreted the righteous man. It's capitalized in my text, which seems to indicate that the translators here think that the person writing the Proverbs as attributing the righteous one takes note of the house of the wicked to attributing that to God by capitalizing it, right? So God takes note of the house of the wicked and brings the wicked to ruin. Certainly there are scriptures that back up that God brings the wicked to ruin within the context, at least from my perspective, of the wicked participate in having been brought to ruin. They've chosen paths that have bring them to ruinous places. And God help each one of us who have done anything wicked, that we can avoid the ruin by knowing him. But what really stuck out to me about this verse was, if you interpret this to be each one of us, or each righteous person, is supposed to take note of the house of the wicked, identify it, pay attention to it, deliberately notice it. It seems to be a condition of being righteous, that you're going to find out who's wicked and you're going to do what you can to bring them down. That seems to be a very forward verse, and I found it backed up in verse 15, sort of indirectly, which says, when justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but terror to evildoers. So justice is not something that, but it's not something that people who do evil want. People who do evil do not want justice. They want to avoid it. They want to pretend it doesn't exist. And I hope I'm not coming across you guys as being judgmental of folks, but what I am saying is that there seems to be this tie between verse 12 and verse 15, and also verse 22, which I had never linked to verse 12 before, but verse 22 says, a wise man attacks the city of the mighty. And I have a big question mark in my text, as you can see if you're scrolling through. A big question mark there, because it's like, where does the scripture, in how many places does the scripture refer to the wise attacking things? And I think I finally have context for this, which is verse 15. The righteous one takes note of the house of the wicked and brings the wicked to ruin. Kind of goes along with verse 22. A wise man attacks the city of the mighty, and we sort of can say, okay, maybe in this sense, it's the city of the, and this is one interpretation, that it's the city of the mighty who are also wicked. A wise man attacks the city of the strong, wicked person and pulls down the stronghold in which they trust. So we have these three verses that all kind of make a triple powerhouse punch, talking about the proactive approach that the righteous are to take. There is a season for the righteous to be on the offensive, to attack the stronghold of the mighty, to take note of the house of the wicked and bring them down, bring them to ruin, to bring justice, and that justice will bring terror to the evildoers. But notice in verse 15 what that also does. It brings joy to the righteous, especially maybe the righteous and the weak, the ones that can't stand up for themselves. When people of courage decide to stand, even if it's a small stand, being courageous in the moment, to be grounded in your faith in such a way that you have such an assurance of God and God's will in your life, and such an assurance of his ultimate victory in all things, which of course verse 31 alludes to. The horse is made ready for the day of battle. We're supposed to prepare for the battle, but victory rests with the Lord. So I love that verse. So when you step out there and you take that, and you are in that moment and you display courage, that really bothers the evildoer, but it really encourages the weaker person that observes it, that witnesses your act of courage. You'll never know maybe how much you have encouraged them and strengthened them. But I would encourage you today, first of all, to find your righteousness in God. That's the only place we find our righteousness if we're Christians, if that's what Christians believe. We find our righteousness in the Lord, not in ourselves. And if you find that your righteousness there, that's a trustworthy righteousness, and you can be proactive in the season of being proactive, and in the season of being forward and even aggressive, because you can't attack a city without some form of aggression. In the season of righteous aggression and attacking and bringing down the cities and fortresses and strongholds of the wicked, you will encourage those around you and terrorize not just the people you're attacking, if you're attacking them from a position of righteousness, but also those others who may be observing. And so that takes me to another verse. In verse 11, it says, when a mocker is punished, the simple gain wisdom, When a wise man is instructed, he gets knowledge. So just by being righteous and by going on the offense against the wicked, again, based in righteousness, and in the season for doing so, I have to pause here because I'm not telling you to go out and be violent, and I want to make that clear. But when the wicked are brought to justice, it says here the simple gain wisdom. In other words, people that really don't know, that need to be instructed in something, they just gain something from that. They gained in wisdom. They're seeing, that behavior that leads to someone getting in trouble and being brought down, maybe I don't want to participate in that behavior. And so if you're the person who is standing in courage and shutting down the wicked, then you're also educating those who need educating, honestly, who need to know, is this a right or wrong thing? And so, guys, I want to say one last thing. Everything I say to you in these videos and everything I talk about, I try to do it in the context of I am just another person on a journey, trying to be faithful in my walk, trying to encourage the weak, encourage my brothers, encourage the strong, those who are stronger than me, anyone. There's nothing in my intention for anyone to harm another person in what I talk about. And so sometimes you have to stop and clarify things. I want a few things to infuse everything I say, and one of those is love, the love of God, the Creator, for us. And the other is that where you find your answers. The reason I'm reading the Bible is because it's where I go to for answers. And it's where it's an authoritative source for me. So don't look to me or any of my commentary. Just look at my commentary and the things I'm saying. Look at them as just a fellow traveler and the way I'm seeing things and the perspective. You being a free person, and everyone is free in this particular way. You being a free person, you can choose, what parts of my commentary or perspectives you want to keep and which parts you want to throw away, and it will not offend me in the least if you disagree with me or anything. I welcome that. I welcome disagreement. I welcome questions. If you want to put questions in the comments, I'll do everything within the scope of my power and ability to try to answer them. If you have challenges for me, if you say you need to stop, what you're saying is wrong, let's engage. I'm open to that. So hopefully that adds, those few things I just said add some context to all of this reading and all of my comments. Godspeed and God's blessings and God's love be to you. Thank you.